This is Lebanon, the party capital of the Middle East. Most people might think that Lebanon is just another Arab country in the Middle East, but a lot of people in Lebanon will disagree. Why the debate? Well, it depends on what your definition of an Arab country is. If an Arab country is defined by its language, then yes, Lebanon is an Arab country, as most of its inhabitants speak Arabic as their first language, albeit the mix and match version. If an Arab country is defined by its ethnicity, culture, and religion, then the identity of Lebanon is tricky. Lebanon can be described as a country patched together by former colonial powers, which contains diverse population, with a wide range of religions to choose from, and thus generally segregated themselves from each other. So how did this happen? Well, it started when some Canaanites learned how to be a civilization, and created alphabets based on Egyptian stuff. Some dudes on the coasts, known as the Phoenicians, adopted those alphabets, and decided to travel across the Mediterranean Sea for some trade and some colonizing, introducing the Greeks to those cool alphabets. According to the Bible, Israel asked Lebanon for some of their famous cedars to build a temple. Then, a bunch of big bullies came along, including Assyrians, Babylonians, the Achaemenid Empire, this Macedonian dude, Seleucid Empire, and the Roman Empire. Christianity was introduced in Lebanon around the 1st century. A guy named Maron decided to make his own version of Christianity, and his followers congregated in the relative safety of Mount Lebanon. The Byzantine and Sassanid Empire fought every now and then for the control of the Levant, before being knocked out by the Arab Muslims. Arab Muslim influence in Lebanon increased greatly in the 7th century, when the Umayyad capital was established at nearby Damascus. In the 11th century, the Druze faith emerged from a branch of Islam. The Maronites and Druze divided Lebanon for themselves. Then, the Seljuk Turks came along to beat up everyone, who then got beaten up by some European Christian dudes. The Mamluks later took control of the Levant. Then, the Ottoman Turks conquered the Levant and remained in control for the next few centuries. Some Italians dropped by in Lebanon every so often to do lucrative trading. The mountainous territory of Mount Lebanon has long been a shelter for minority and persecuted groups, including its historic Maronite Christians and Druze communities who lived next to each other, and sometimes fought the crap out of one another, being backed by opposing big bullies. Fast forward, after World War I, Britain and France split up the Ottoman Empire like a slice of cake. Lebanon was carved out and given to France. This slice of Lebanon was super diverse, which include Maronite Christians, other bunch of Christians, Druze, Sunni Muslims, Shiite Muslims, and many others, basically a powder keg ready to explode. So how do you keep everyone happy? Well, France decided to use the oldest trick in the book, divide and rule. France made sure the president of Lebanon is a Christian, the prime minister is a Sunni Muslim. Voila! Lebanon became independent during World War II. In the 1950s and 60s, Lebanon was super rich and prosperous. Due to the beef between Israel and everyone else, lots of Palestinian refugees escaped Palestine. Jordan did not want those revolting Palestinians who hated Jordanians in its country, so Jordan gave the Palestinian refugees and armed militants to Lebanon. The Palestinian militants attacked Israel like nobody's business from Lebanon, so Israel attacked the Palestinian militants in Lebanon. This is where the Lebanese civil war began. In general, the Christians did not support the Palestinians, whilst the Muslims loved the Palestinians. This beef escalated into internal armed conflict, with foreign interventions added to the mix. The economy of Lebanon went downhill. Syria occupied Lebanon after the civil war. In general, the Shiites were happy, and others were not, which led to lots of unrests and revolutions. Hezbollah, a Shiite-based organization in Lebanon, is the sole political party allowed to hold a militia by Syria. Hezbollah attacked Israel, Israel retaliated, and Lebanon suffered. Sectarian conflict has since been a constant problem in Lebanon. If that is not enough, the Lebanese economy collapsed in around 2019, and then an explosion happened at the port. Even through all these hardships, most Lebanese people are chill and resilient, trying to have fun through tough times. All they wanted is peace and prosperity, 24/7 electricity, good welfare and education, the end to sectarian conflicts and corruption, which has limited Lebanon's progress despite its huge potential. The diverse identity of Lebanon is reflected in its politics, whereby the president has to be a Maronite Christian, the prime minister a Sunni Muslim, the speaker of the parliament a Shia Muslim, the deputy prime minister and the deputy speaker of parliament an Eastern Orthodox. Today, Lebanon is one of the most liberal countries in the Middle East, providing lots of fun for everyone. Lebanese people can also be found across the world. Some people in Lebanon insisted on identifying as Phoenicians. Why? Because identifying as Phoenicians sounds very cool, providing a sense of national pride. Also, identifying as Phoenicians can unite the diverse population of different religions and cultures, so why not? Thus, some people in Lebanon do not like to be labeled as Arabs, because some ignorant superpower will just assume an Arab country as an oil-rich Islamic country ready for some democracy and freedom depending on allegiance. So who exactly is Lebanon? Instead of debating over Lebanese identity, it's best to let Lebanon be Lebanon, and maybe someday the Lebanese people will dominate the Mediterranean trade again, who knows? Thanks for watching.